Everything you assume about the land development and home building industry is about to change. Imagine a new era creating a higher living standard, beauty without monotony, better and safer vehicular and pedestrian connectivity, increased space, and with less economic and environmental impact. In this video, we will explain the logic behind these market-proven methods and technologies, improving both public and private entities that control the world's growth, and how you can be part of this new era. Assuming the grid is the most efficient form of design. Today's CAD technology automates the subdividing of land using the same geometric assumption of hundreds of years in the past. Most neighborhoods were gridded because of the enormous amount of time it took to calculate the geometry when curves were involved. With today's software, that barrier vanishes. So why are today's subdivisions no better than 50 years ago? Because software developers serving the land development industry do not innovate beyond what is already known. City regulations only require a set of minimum standards, and to please the developer clients, consultants want to jam as many residences on a site as possible as if density was the only avenue to profitability. A set of minimum standards only guarantees the most minimal results, yet the developer gets the blame for following the city's minimum standards. That same developer that trusts the talents of the consultant to provide the best possible neighborhood to compete. Never are the city regulations to blame, as it's easier to point to the developer. And yet, year after year and decade after decade, nothing seems to change in this industry. The methods we pioneered have a demonstrated average reduction of street and utility main length of 25% compared to conventional design without reducing existing city minimums and without reducing any density. This means 25% less right-of-way that is gifted to the city, far less environmental impact, and needless to say, 25% less maintenance costs for the city to maintain forever. Less paved space equals more green space. When the designer is using the smallest possible lot size to achieve density, they must reach that unit with the greatest length of street frontage. Most designs create an excessive amount of non-fronted right-of-way, creating an enormous amount of unintended waste. Almost 3 decades ago, we discovered a new pattern that eliminates the waste not by making the lots smaller, but instead larger, thus exceeding existing regulatory minimums, and without losing any density. This discovery was about to change everything previously assumed about land development design. Over the last 3 decades, we have been contracted to design over 1,500 neighborhoods in 48 states and 18 nations for over 300 developers and builders desiring for something better. Each design was an opportunity to evolve known processes and invent new methods. Being also a software developer serving consultants in cities, we were able to revolutionize the technical side of automation. Instead of using CAD to replicate what all others are delivering, we eliminated the complexity of CAD to empower users to create more exciting and efficient places to dwell. For better pedestrian connectivity, we designed the main trails first. For better vehicular connectivity and efficiency, we create patterns that maintain constant flow that reach areas of the site with the fewest intersections. We create safer neighborhoods by meandering the walkways away from vehicles as well as have fewer conflict points. Streets are safer from both fewer intersections and patterns that reduce speeding. The increased area for lots and units allow us to vary the setbacks to create a park-like setting everywhere, increasing premium locations, as well as eliminating the monotony that plagues today's growth. The increased streetscape and meandering walks leave plenty of space for street trees to grow, as well as new landscape design opportunities that add character. The angled relationship between single-family homes, as well as the undulating setbacks along curved streets, significantly reduce the visual impact of parked cars and garage doors. This same organic design conforms to the natural terrain far better than forcing a grid on a rolling site, which can result in a tremendous amount of earthwork reduction. Bay homes, which are maintenance-free single-family detached garden villas, are staggered to provide panoramic views from the living spaces within the homes. Their prominent front porches are connected to walkways along bays of open landscape space, providing a more serene place to live. The bay home was the first method for production housing in which the floor plan of a home became a function of the neighborhood design. They have evolved over the past 2 decades, and the current design geometry reduces the space for parked cars, where residents might spend 2% of their time, and increases space for homeowners that will spend the remaining 98% of the day. It's incredibly rare for us to design a development with even a single roundabout, unless forced by a traffic engineer. Instead, we developed traffic diffusers. These maintain flow on the prominent street, yet distribute traffic similar to that of the circle. When the main trail crosses a street of traffic, we insert a pedestrian diffuser. This demands awareness of the driver and gives the pedestrian the safety of crossing at one-way lanes. Now let's talk about the dysfunctional land use separation of the suburbs, which are under constant attack by the new urbanists. Transitional zoning separates classes of people. The new urbanists' attempt to intermix income groups on the same block has not been a success either. The main problem with the transitional zoning is that the highest density and lowest price housing is placed along the noisy arterial streets, and the less dense, high price homes are in turn placed within the best locations. One must drive past the least attractive, dense homes to get to their more serene neighborhoods. While no solution is perfect, we tend to place the lowest cost and highest density internal to the development, and having a mid to high end product with greater space and less density along the entrances. We also develop methods that reduces or eliminates home rears along arterial streets. When possible, we place the highest density, in other words, the most people in the premium locations, independent of their social status. To us and those we serve, it makes more logical and economic sense. Strip malls provide great exposure for the variety of shops and services, which is why they are so popular. The largest problem is they're not exactly complementary use when residential is placed along the strip mall rear loading, service, and trash lanes. This is made worse when high-density housing overlooks this visual unattractiveness. This is why we reinvented these strip malls to have better access to shops, as well as eliminate most of the land use conflicts between them and the adjacent residential. These commercial areas become the direct connection to the overall pedestrian systems, helping the retailers even more. With single-family homes becoming ever more dense for economic reasons, the home itself becomes narrow and deep to the point that the architecture is basically a wide garage door. To remedy this trend, while providing the same density, we introduced architectural shaping. This is where a high-density single-family home can look and function as if a much wider home by taking advantage of the non-rectangular lots. All of these solutions have massive economic advantages. On a typical development, we're not talking about thousands of dollars, but instead millions of dollars. Today, with many land development construction materials increasing as much as 40% just this past year, as well as fuel and labor increases, and with housing becoming less attainable, now is the time for the growth industry to need change. Please contact us and become part of this revolutionary era of new community building as well as the redevelopment of cities.